Hi, this is Lynn. Hello, we are live, and I am here today with my special guest. And you go by Becky, not Rebecca?
Right, right,
Becky.
just
Okay.
Becky.
Okay. And so Becky, it lives way on the other side of the country from me. She is in Rhode Island. I am in Washington State. So we are 3 hours apart. But we're here today to have her share her story with us. Now, you guys out there may not really know her because you have a itty bitty little YouTube channel, and but you have a story, a health story that led you to the carnivore diet. So, hi there, Deb. Good to have you here. So, I'm going to go ahead and let you just go ahead and start sharing your story. Let me know, what is your background? Tell us a little bit about yourself and about how how and when you developed the different health conditions you have and how that led you to looking for a dietary solution.
Okay. So first of all, with my celiac disease, which I didn't know at the time, I was only 7 when that started as a skin condition that was very itchy, kind of like poison ivy. And this was 1972. And
Mm.
we were camping, and my mom thought I had poison ivy, and so she's putting the calamine lotion on. That didn't work. And then when we got back from our camping vacation, my mom took me to a dermatologist who was like, "Oh, you have skin mites. Let's put this," gave us this little thing of cream, and that didn't work. But like we kept doing it because we didn't know. The doctor said do this, right?
Right.
And then used to get allergy shots over the years, and then um, did an allergy test, but it was just like the skin on your back. And this was all through
Right.
the 70s. And so I suffered with this, like, and itching, like severe itching. And it's ugly. It looks like you have poison ivy, but it was be on my
Oh.
elbows, my knees, the back of my knees, around my waist, my lower back, my upper back, the top of my feet.
Oh, wow.
Luckily, it did not go on my face.
Yeah. But that's still
Uh,
miserable for a little kid. Oh, and yeah.
yeah, I didn't sleep well. I would itch till I bled.
Oh my.
Yeah. And my parents didn't know. Everyone just used to listen to the doctor, right? Nobody
Mhm.
questioned anything or pushed that they should do more testing anyway.
Right.
So moving forward, I'm 22. I take a break from going to college. And I get on my own insurance. So I finally go to a new dermatologist, and I have to fill out all these forms, and I'm very annoyed. And I walk in, and the doctor says, you have celiac disease. I'm pretty sure this is dermatitis herpetiformis." And I'm like,
Okay,
what
so
is that? Like,
dermatitis herpetiformis.
herpetiformis,
So
yes.
that even if you're just listening to it, sounds like it's part of herpes, not celiac,
Right. And I don't, I,
but it's not.
it's not. It's caused by eating gluten.
Whoever named that did not do a good job.
No,
No.
no, because yeah,
Okay.
it does sound like, oh, that's herpes, but
Yeah,
it's not.
that's
But
interesting. And so I know I was telling you backstage, as a GI nurse, I'm very familiar with celiac disease, but I didn't know that it could present on the skin.
well,
Although it kind of, thinking intuitively, kind of makes sense because technically the GI tract is not really inside your body. It's like kind of a continuation of your skin as it goes through. So I guess I should have thought, well, I guess it could, but this was a new thing for me.
apparently it's a rare form of it, of
Mhm.
course, right? And of course, I didn't even know what gluten was. I'd never heard of gluten. This is 1987 at the
Yeah.
time that I
And
was.
does it react just like celiac inside? Does it react to what you eat as far as the gluten?
So with the skin version of this, what I noticed is, because after, like, my skin got cleared up because he put me on Dapsone, which is a very strong medication that they give to lepers. I only could stay on that for a
Mhm.
short period of time because it made me nauseous and sick, and I felt horrible.
Is it a corticosteroid?
I don't know. I was only 22 and I
Just
got
like,
off it as
take
quickly
it.
as
Yeah.
possible and just controlled with gluten-free diet as best that I
Yeah.
could, that as I understood, I had to see the nutritionist and all that stuff.
Okay.
So I did keep my skin clear for a while, and then at some point I thought, I think I can eat some bread. I'll be all right. And so I didn't have an immediate reaction to doing
Mhm.
that. And so 3 days in, I'm like eating some bagels and
Right.
crap like that, and my skin breaks out. And
Yeah.
it took me a good month to clear it up because it had to build up in my system in order
Right.
for me to have a reaction. So
And
now
that's a
I know
key.
never ever do that again.
Yeah, and that's a key thing. A lot of people experience that they eat something one time. Oh, sorry, I didn't turn my phone off.
I actually turned my phone off. I
Yeah,
remember.
forgot. My husband's calling me. Sorry, hon, you're gonna have to go call our daughter. So,
That's funny.
but yeah, it's really with a lot of things, you eat it once and you feel like, oh, I did okay, I must be all right. But then so you keep eating it, right?
Yeah.
And then next thing you know, it kicks in several days later. So, okay, so you found out that you absolutely cannot have the gluten.
No, no. And
Mhm.
that, and so that was just my autoimmune that I didn't even know about during my teen years. So I still, even though I was having a skin version of it, I wasn't absorbing nutrients, just like a celiac.
Okay,
So
so interesting.
I got mono when I was a teenager. I was just like, I had depression and I was always tired and I had weight issues. I just, occasionally I would have like stomach issues, but you
Yeah.
know, I
So
just ate crap.
it still does affect your small intestine. It's just you don't have this classic celiac symptoms.
Right. I do. It's
Yeah,
not like if I got some gluten, I would have to run to the bathroom immediately and
right,
be violently ill like that.
right.
So my
'Cause I
version
know with
isn't.
celiac, it definitely because it blunts those small intestinal villi, it can affect your ability to absorb nutrients. So you still had that.
Right.
Okay, got it,
Right. Right.
got it.
Um,
Okay.
and I struggled with weight. I think from like, I remember it being like 10 or 11 when the doctor said, "Oh, you're 10 pounds overweight." And immediately thinking, well, I need to eat celery and carrots.
Mm,
As a kid, I was like, "Oh, well, I guess that's how you diet." I didn't, of course,
mm,
that didn't last very long.
yeah,
And then eventually as a teenager, my mom went with me to Weight Watchers, and I did that on and off for years and just tried every diet. At some point, I tried the vegan diet in 2012. Oh, I felt horrible on that. My
okay,
B12 went way down. I was
right.
always hungry. I felt bloated and sick. I was like, I told my husband, I'm like, I can't do this. This was after Forks Over Knives or something, that
I
documentary came out.
remember that, I remember that. Do you now so was the going on the vegan diet just one of the things you were trying to do to lose weight, or was it
It
for
was
other
more to
health
lose
issues?
weight, and my husband was having some, cholesterol issues, so we're like, "Oh, let's do this together," and, of course, he lost 30 pounds, I think I lost 12, and I felt
Okay.
horrible.
Right, right. Well, it wasn't healing for you, and obviously you weren't getting the nutrients you needed.
No, no, not at all, um, I started getting cold sores during that time when I was doing the vegan diet. I was like, I
Mm,
can't, this is not sustainable." And I felt like I had like a huge gas bubble in my stomach all the time during that time. So I did
oh,
try it. I mean,
yeah, okay.
so
So how long were you on it?
I would say 3 months,
Okay.
about
So a
3
few
months.
months, and you were feeling too bad and just couldn't sustain it.
No,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah. Okay. So at that point, that point in your life, to your knowledge, was that the only health condition you were dealing with was the celiac?
Um,
Or did you already get diagnosed with other health
oh,
conditions?
yes. So after I had my son, which was my second child, this is in 1996, I was diagnosed a year later after my son was born with hypothyroidism.
Okay.
So that was, I was like, "Oh, what's that?" And I did lose about 20 pounds quickly after I got on, Levo Synthroid, I guess,
Oh,
at that
yeah,
time.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so you had hypothyroid, and then you mentioned that you have Lyme disease.
So Lyme disease, I acquired, I thought it was 2012, but it was the summer of 2013.
Okay.
I just started feeling really, really sick and like a brain fog, like really
Mhm.
bad. Like I felt there was something wrong in my brain and also got nauseous. And then when it got really bad, I started having fevers and chills
Okay.
at night. And then I would kind of maybe feel better the next day for a little bit. And I was like, something's really wrong. Like
Okay.
something's wrong.
So, at first, did you think it was a flu?
I didn't think it was a flu because it was so weird.
Okay.
Had horrible shoulder pain all of a sudden, like
Hmm.
like I couldn't even put my bra on. I was like, my kids thought I was dying. I
Oh,
thought I was
wow.
dying, but I looked up the symptoms, of course, because that's what I do. I love to research things.
Yeah.
And I was like, I think I have Lyme disease. And I
Interesting.
went to my doctor, and I saw the physician's assistant, and she's like, "No, no, I don't think this is Lyme disease," and sent me home on my merry way. And I got sicker and sicker. And
So
you
they
know,
didn't even test you for it?
they did blood test me, but then I found out you have to have Lyme disease for 3 months before it will show up in a blood test.
Okay. Okay,
Yeah.
so you were researching it early on.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, because I was like, "Well, why didn't it show up in the blood work?" And I found out, well, what a waste of money because I had just started having the symptoms. It wasn't
Okay.
gonna come up in the blood
So it
work.
was too early. Okay,
It was
so
really early.
so how long did you deal with those symptoms before you finally got a doctor that retested
So
you?
so finally, I mean, my husband called the doctor and wanted me to go back in. I was sick in bed and I was like, I'm not getting in the car to drive. I don't care. That's how sick I was. I was like,
Yeah,
I don't care. I'm just staying in bed
yeah.
because I had fever and chills and my shoulder hurt and I couldn't sleep and I was nauseous. And I was like, I thought my kids were like, Mom, are you dying? They were like teenagers at
Mhm.
the time. I'm like,
They were
I don't,
worried about you.
yeah. So finally, my husband took me to the doctor again. And at this point, I had like these red rings going down my legs, like these circles. And then I finally saw the actual MD, and he's like, had students with him because it was a teaching
Okay.
doctor. And he's like, this is definitely Lyme disease. Like, it's
Oh,
like,
wow.
and then the nurse practitioner apologized to me. And I was like, I knew that's what it was. Like, I just knew it.
Right, right.
So I got on the strong antibiotics and I felt better within several days. But I
Okay.
didn't realize like Lyme disease stuff stays with you, even though like you kind of get the medication and you feel better in general. But
Mhm.
yeah.
So so you got over the more acute symptoms of Lyme disease. How and so you said it stays with you. So how did it manifest itself as you went on over the years?
Well, so I didn't really realize that it could still affect like your bones and your like so all of a sudden I'm having knee pain and I didn't injure my knee, that kind
Mhm.
of stuff. And
Okay.
then I noticed just with this last doing the carnivore diet, just for like a few weeks, that knee pain like completely went away. Like that
Okay.
inflammation went away and I don't have any knee pain now.
Yes. Okay. So you were still dealing with aches and pains. And I know just from everything, I don't know a ton about Lyme disease because I never really worked in that specialty, but just from what I've read, it's like it it in some people it'll present like with the symptoms like you had. And hopefully if you can get treated early, then it ends up not being quite so severe over time. But there are people who don't have that or they miss it.
Right. And then they end up having seizures and horrible like
Right, and then it ends up being really severe. Okay, so you're actually even though it did take you some time, it sounds like they kinda caught it at least early enough.
yeah, I think they caught it early enough where I didn't
Mhm.
get the neurological.
That's good. Well, but it was obviously at some point, it was still kinda neurological because you were having the brain fog, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there was like some inflammation in your brain going on. Did that go away after you were treated?
That weird brain feeling, yes, it did.
That's
That
good.
I
That's good.
mean, I still would have brain fog, but didn't feel that like that weird. I can't even explain it. It felt my brain felt fuzzy during that time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've experienced that with my mast cell activation syndrome.
Mm.
I've experienced that as well. And sometimes it's weird. It's almost like an out of body thing too for me. But I know everybody describes this a little bit differently, But I mean, when something's impacting your brain, you know,
Yes.
so because you're just not functioning. You're
Yeah,
not
I just
thinking.
didn't feel normal.
Yeah, yeah. And now how did this affect your mental health going through all this? I mean, all these years from the time you were 7.
Oh. Oh, yeah, that honestly, it was I remember feeling very embarrassed, like, always wanting to wear long sleeves to cover my skin,
Right.
and, kids can be mean, they're like, "Ew, what's that?" And I'm like, "It's not catchy," but I didn't know what
Yeah.
it was, and I was like I didn't because I didn't sleep well because I was itching myself to death, school was kind of not that I was a person who paid a lot of attention in
Well,
school
when you're
anyway, but
sleep deprived, though,
yeah.
it's hard, and when you're not feeling good, it's hard.
And then as I got older as a teenager, I'm feeling not very attractive because
Mm.
my skin looks gross. I
Oh,
mean, thank
yeah.
God it
So
wasn't on my face. And plus, like, I was having weight issues and I was and just depressed. I remember feeling depressed as a
yeah,
teenager, just like, you know, not feeling pretty or good enough or like all these
right.
things.
Right, right. So
And
that definitely sounds like it impacted your confidence and your social, socially. So did you have close friends that were aware of what was going on and give you support?
yeah, I mean, I always had friends and I didn't and I had boyfriends too, but I still was like I sometimes would just settle for like, oh, somebody likes me, so I guess I'll like them too.
Oh, yeah. I
Because I'm
You
not
felt
gonna get
like I
anybody's
can't be
help.
can't be too discriminating.
No.
Yeah, because I mean, you seem like a really perky, peppy person, an outgoing personality. So it's unfortunate to be a teenager and have something like that, like a skin condition that's so outward. I mean, there's people who have chronic illnesses that are inside. You can hide that a little bit better, but this was very external. So did that carry into your adult life as well?
The depression or the skin?
The depression.
I would say yes, and, like, there were points where I wasn't, but I always felt like there was always that underlying weight issue for me.
Yeah.
As a woman, always not feeling thin enough or
Yeah.
pretty enough or whatever that thing is. And then um just always trying the next new diet or not, and then I'm binge eating because I'm sad. I'm binge eating to not feel my emotions.
Yeah.
Um and then as I've done some healing work, learned some trauma stuff over the years, and then kind of switch from binge eating to like, oh well, let me drink alcohol instead.
Oh, yeah.
So it was kind of like, well, let me switch, like I can drink this low calorie drink as opposed to, well, I won't eat my emotions down, I'll
Right.
just like numb them. So
So
I was
one
just switching
unhealthy
things.
coping mechanism to another unhealthy coping
Yeah.
mechanism. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
you know what? So many times we go through our entire lives doing that, just hopping from one thing to another to try to cope. So at what point in your life did you start to look into diet to help your celiac and your other health conditions?
So I kind of got forced into like immediately going gluten free.
Right.
because I was either, I mean, I was relieved that somebody knew what was wrong with me
Sure.
finally, and they took blood, urine, a biopsy of my skin, and so my skin cleared up pretty quick once they put me on that medication, but I didn't stay on it long, so I've controlled it for years with a gluten-free diet. Now, I didn't know about low carb or any of that
Yeah.
stuff, which would have helped with, my mental health. I was doing the fat-free stuff for
Right. That's what we were
years.
told.
Fat-free cream cheese,
I know. Ugh.
fat-free cookies, whatever. Like, it was horrible. I
Yeah.
remember eating, like, I would cook just kidney beans from a can and, like, put it over white rice because that was fat-free. Like, ugh, it was horrible.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, I grew up in the same era. I totally get it, and you do nothing but gain weight.
Yeah, because 'cause you're
Yeah,
still eating pasta and bread because they say, "Oh, you have to have 12 servings and 5
that's right.
fruits," and, like,
That's right. And gluten-free, I think it's easier now because there's a lot more gluten-free options, but I remember before finding gluten-free and figuring out what is gluten-free was difficult.
and expensive.
Very expensive.
And I was in
Yeah.
college and, like, so I ate a lot of rice cakes
Yeah.
and I tried to make my own gluten-free bread, but that was a disaster. I was a theater major. I didn't
I've
wanna cook anyway.
I've tried gluten-free products. I've never found one that I liked.
Yeah, I mean,
But
I couldn't afford it
yeah.
most of the time. And then, like, I was in college and everybody like, let's get pizza and beer. And, like, I couldn't eat the pizza. They didn't have, like,
Right.
the gluten-free pizzas unless I had to go buy it and, like, make it myself and do all this. It was like,
Yeah, that makes it difficult socially when you're in that time of your life. Now, did you ever kinda give in and just have the pizza
I was
or did
pretty good
you
about not doing that because I did
okay.
not want that skinned version that I suffered so much for so many years, for 14 years, that I
Yeah,
was not gonna go back to do that.
okay.
I had
That's
only done that
good.
after years of having my skin clear, and then I
That's good that you developed that, awareness early on. I mean, so many of us like, I can't tell you over the years how many times I've tricked myself into saying that, "Oh, it's okay for me to go back and eat things," and then
I
you pay
will
for it.
right, I will tell you when I went to Italy in 2019, I did have an actual piece of pizza.
Okay, how did you do? Because I've heard that the flours and grains over there are
I
different than here.
Well, I only did it that was my last day there, I had, like, 2 slices of real pizza in
Okay.
Italy because 'cause I'm like, "I'm not going to Italy and not eating pizza." And I was like, "I sure hope I don't have a
So
reaction."
did you do okay?
I did okay, like,
But it was only one day.
it was only
Yeah.
one day, and it was,
Yeah.
like, 2 small pieces of pizza.
I've heard that the food in Europe often is less reactive because they use better quality ingredients and less of the genetically
Process.
modified and the hybrid stuff than we do.
Yeah,
So it'd
yeah.
be interesting to see. Do you know anything about I mean, have you studied? So you said you researched. Do you know anything about like the incidence of celiac disease in the US versus other countries? Have you ever looked into that?
There's actually a lot of celiac in Italy,
There is.
but it
Okay.
comes so mostly what I do know from what I recall about us learning about celiac was that it does a lot of people with Celtic backgrounds, which I am Scottish and Irish, German background,
Mhm.
have celiac, which is I'm not sure why that is, but I just remember reading that in my
That's
research.
interesting because so I'm a quarter Irish and I am also mostly English. I
Mhm, yeah, I
don't
have a
have
lot of
the
English too.
Scottish or the German or anything, but I did a GI map. My naturopathic doctor did a GI map test on me, and I had already been several months into doing the carnivore diet. So I hadn't had a carb in months.
Wow.
And this bacteria, I know it was an enzyme that is there. I think it was either a bacteria or an enzyme that was an indicator. It was high, but it's very specific to gluten. Showed up
Mm,
high on my GI map, and I hadn't had I hadn't had a carb in months.
Isn't that interesting?
And yeah, and that's what my doctor said. He's like, okay, this doesn't make any sense that it's high, like as if, and I know I did a little research into it, and it tends to be that way more for people who have celiac versus just a gluten intolerance. And so I was like really baffled by it. And I looked to see about cross reactivity. And I found out that there are several carnivore products that are cross reactive with gluten, meaning if you eat them, your body thinks you're eating gluten.
Oh.
And eggs and coffee and dairy products were the 3 that I had been consuming on the carnivore diet.
Ooh.
So
I
I
eat those. That's why I'm like, "Ooh," because I haven't gotten brave enough to stop the coffee or complete dairy.
well, I mean, and for me, my gut was kind of a mess. So now if I was having like no symptoms and everything else was fine, and I was like, okay, I would have thought, oh, well, maybe that's not a big deal. But I was really concerned about it because my gut was a mess.
Yeah.
So Andrea's here. Hi,
Hi,
Andrea. I'm
Andrea.
glad you can make it to the chat. I know I did invite her to come join us. And if you can, great. If not, no problem. Um, but yeah, so I did cut those out just to see if that would make a difference. And I do have some coffee here. You know, I s- I'm at a constant battle with coffee, but
That's my next
coffee.
that's my next thing is, like, try and stop that coffee. Ah.
Yeah, so I was just interested that, with you having celiac, if you had ever heard about the cross reactivity.
I have not, so that's news to me.
Oh, she's sitting in front of her red light and cooking dinner. You know what, Andrea? Because of you, I bought a red light lamp and I've been using it.
I think I need a red light lamp. Lucy
Yeah,
too.
I feel like it's helped my sinuses. I've used it on my back and I've used it in different parts. It's supposed to like help with joint pain, like joining
Oh,
muscle aches, but I did hear that it can help with sinus issues, and
okay.
I do tend to have more sinus issues, and so I've noticed a difference. But yeah, after I think I was watching one of Andrea's videos and I saw that she uses the red light therapy.
Okay.
So I went out and bought one.
I'll have to look into it.
Yeah, but yeah, I know she uses hers all the time. But yeah, so that's interesting. So yeah, so I found that out about the cross reactivity with those 3 items that I had been eating. But you still you eat eggs and you eat dairy and
I
you have
eat eggs. I've
coffee.
cut back on my cheese intake,
Okay.
but, I do still have it occasionally during this month. Like at first, I was like, "Oh, let me try the beef, bacon, eggs, and butter,"
Yeah.
but I just couldn't do just that.
Okay. Okay, so share with everybody, when did you officially start the carnivore diet?
Like again, really officially January 1st of this year.
Okay.
But
So
I
you
mean,
were on it back in 2022. So what led you to it back in 2022?
I just was fascinated with the weight loss part of it and also the getting rid of the inflammation,
Mm,
getting rid of the body pain. Like, um, I am like, I may not be disciplined in many things, but for some reason, I'm very disciplined in going to the gym. So
okay.
I've continuously exercised and moved my body, but um, I don't count on that as just that's more for to keep my body moving because I don't my mom has a lot of she has osteoarthritis, which I think is also a form of celiac, autoimmune,
Mm.
just like
You
rheumatoid
know,
arthritis.
it's true. I mean, it's interesting because with autoimmune diseases, there's so much carryover into other parts of your body. And I remember dealing with Crohn's ulcerative colitis patients working as a GI nurse. So many of them ended up with joint pain.
Mm,
And it was really, really common. And I mean, anything that affects your gut is going to impact your inflammation in all other parts of your body. So it makes sense that possibly, yeah, she might be dealing with celiac too. So, okay, so you started, looking into it just because of
yeah,
that
I'm
family
always
history.
because of having the celiac and having the weird skin version of it. I've always been super interested in like nutrition, and I just, it's, YouTube, and like I started, I think what I started getting into keto was like dietdoctor.com,
Okay.
that website. So they had a lot of information with Dr. Fung on the intermittent fasting. And so I bought
Mhm.
his book and bought his book on fasting and diabetes. My husband has type 2 diabetes, and
Okay.
I have diabetes that I've like watched my grandmother just suffer. I mean,
Mm.
years ago, she was going to lose a leg and she just decided she was done. She was on dialysis. Like they just kept
Oh, man.
medicating her. And I'm like, that's why, like, I'm very passionate about like reversing the diabetes. And I had been pre-diabetic probably, I think, in 2016, 2017. And I was like mortified. I was like, oh my God,
Right.
I don't want to be diabetic.
Well, especially if you watched your grandmother go through all that. Yeah, absolutely. So let's see. Andrew said too much dairy gives me uterus and bladder pain.
Oh.
Um, red light is amazing. People with chronic illnesses like us benefit from red light because it helps our mitochondria.
Mm.
Okay, that's good to know. I knew
I'm
it
gonna
was,
look into this.
yeah. I mean, and you want good, healthy mitochondria, that's for sure. So yeah, so I've been using it. So yeah, look into red light. I'll put a link after we're done. I'll go in the description and put a link to the red light one that I use. And Andrea, if you can think about it, maybe put a link to the one you use so people in the comments so people can have some options if they want to try it out. I did a little research and I decided to buy one that's a little bit stronger, not the real like I didn't pay a ton of money, but I bought one that people said were a little bit stronger. Just, instead of a really low key one. But all right, so you tried the carnivore diet in so who was the first person that you saw? Can you recall who you first
Yes, I do recall.
saw?
I recall seeing it was on a magazine actually, and it was Kelly Hogan.
Oh
It
yeah.
was the magazine article that she did, had to be several years ago. And I was fascinated. I was like, zero carb, what is this? Like, she lost how much weight? And
Did you
like,
think it was crazy when you first heard about it?
I I kind of did, but I had heard of Atkins back in the day too. And I had tried it and it worked, but then like, I just stopped doing it. Whatever. I think life
Yeah.
was happening and I just was like, oh, whatever, whatever. I'm not gonna
Yeah.
do that. But it worked. Like I knew it worked. So I always
Yeah.
had that in the back of my head. Like that makes sense. Like where the heck was wait, what was the question?
Oh, just, how you
Oh,
first
Kelly
came to
Hogan.
be introduced. Okay, so you tried it in 2022.
Like for real, I tried it. I had been like
Okay.
watching and thinking about it for a while prior to
Yeah.
that. So
Yeah. And so how long did you do it back then?
so I originally was just gonna do it for 30 days.
Okay.
And then I felt pretty good on it. And I was like, I'm gonna keep going. So
Okay.
I did until my husband and I went to Costa Rica in November of 22.
Okay.
And then, and I still kind of stuck to more meat based,
Okay.
low carb, but I did, because we were on vacation, ate stuff that I wasn't supposed to. So that's kind of, and then we had traveled a bunch during that winter. And so but I always kind of stayed more meat based in general, even
Yeah.
because I knew like I felt way better
Okay.
doing the carnivore
Okay.
diet.
So, fast forward then to before, I guess probably 2023, must have been it come to your mind again to maybe start the full carnivore diet again. What led up to that?
Um, it was always in the back of my mind and I knew that it worked.
Mhm.
And I saw so many testimonies and I follow so many doctors, and
Yeah.
I keep finding more people on YouTube doing it and watching interviews, and I'm like, I want to, I guess I finally want to just be done feeling bad or having pain and just get
Okay.
rid of this last 40 pounds or whatever.
Yeah. Okay, so you still had about 40 extra pounds on you. at this point, and you're still dealing with, was it the joint pain that you were still dealing
Yeah,
with?
and it's
Okay.
it's I still have that, like, I still have it in this shoulder, from
Okay.
a
Same
previous.
as when you first got the Lyme symptoms,
No, that
or
it
is
had
it
gone away
different?
from the Lyme, but I had injured it, and I just can't seem to get that inflammation to go away on the shoulder,
Mm,
and, you know, it feels like it moves around, and my mom has polymyalgia, so I'm always, like,
mm,
paranoid about
yeah.
that kinda stuff,
Well,
so
and when you have, when you have autoimmune disease, it is inflammatory, and so it's not uncommon to have inflammation that's hard to get rid of, you
yeah.
know? So, okay, so you decided, "Okay, I'm tired of this. Let's just go back on the carnivore diet." So you started in the beginning of this of January?
Yeah, my husband is doing it with me too.
Good.
He's really working hard getting his sugar down
Yeah.
and trying to get his blood pressure down. He has stents in his heart already, and
Mm,
so this is the first time I've seen him really. Although I have to say, he's not so much carnivore; he's more ketovore.
okay.
He'll still eat salad or vegetables once in a while, but I don't usually do that at all.
Yeah.
Um, But he's
Yeah.
he's bringing his sugar down on his type 2 diabetes.
Good.
I'm really
Excellent.
this is the lowest I've seen him go. He ends up with the dawn phenomena in the
Mhm.
morning, but, he's working really hard to get that down, and he has a lot of joint pain and
Mm.
arthritis, and so I really want him to see the benefits and just.
Well, I mean, and some people do tend to go like first keto or ketovore and stuff because they just feel like they need that extra variety.
Yeah.
But I've talked to so many people who finally let go of the salads or whatever, because and it's then that they finally get the resolution to the inflammation.
Yeah.
And it's weird to think, I mean, basically, we've been taught all these years how healthy salads are and how important they are for us, but yet when you get rid of them, the inflammation goes down.
And I've noticed my body, even if I'm not losing weight really quickly, I like just in this last month, I've lost 4.5 inches.
Wow.
Like,
That's great. So your
yeah,
body composition is
and I can see
changing.
it in my jawline
Yeah.
where, it's
Yeah.
interesting.
Well, if you're like me, you're gonna lose weight from the top down.
That's usually what happens.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I get frustrated because I feel like, it's like I'm waiting for the bottom half of my body. I mean, I have lost weight on the bottom half, don't get me wrong, but, I'm waiting for the bottom half to catch up with the top.
I
So,
I feel you.
yeah, but you
I
know what? I'm not gonna complain. Like, I mean, I know that we've just met, but like my top weight was 350 pounds or just under 350 pounds, and I wore like a size 28 pants.
Yeah.
And I just went shopping this past Friday and I had no clue what size I wore, and it turns out I'm a 20 now.
Oh my gosh, that's
So
amazing.
yeah, so I'm like, "Woohoo." So I I'm curious to see, like, my daughter's getting married in early May, and so I'm curious to see what my size will be. That's just a few months. So,
That's
um,
congratulations. That's
yeah, but
amazing.
I've gotta get a mother-in-law dress, for the wedding.
My
So I'm
son
kinda
just got married last April, so
Oh, yeah, my son got married in late September.
nice.
So, but, yeah, so that's fun. So that's good. So, okay, so you're just kinda barely like a little about a month into the carnivore diet again for the second time.
So the first time
Now
I did it, I continued to drink alcohol.
Oh, okay, okay. So this time you're
This time I
no alcohol.
no alcohol. And
Okay, so
even
how
though when I was drinking alcohol the first time, I was doing just like vodka soda. So I wasn't
okay.
drinking like sugary drinks or anything like
Yeah.
that.
So it was like
But
0 carb, but it was still alcohol.
and I know,
Yeah.
like I know my liver needs to deal with the alcohol before it's going to deal with any fat or sugar or anything like that.
Yeah.
So that
Okay,
that
so
was definitely slowing me
how
down.
did that transition go for you?
To stop drinking?
And to just like, did you go cold turkey? All of a
Yeah.
sudden you're carnivore and no alcohol?
Yeah.
How'd that go?
Pretty good. I was pretty motivated.
Okay.
Um,
Did
some days are hard. Like if I'm stressed out, I'll think about like, well, a glass of wine would be really nice right
mm,
now. So those moments still come. So I still have
yeah.
that, but that's more psychological.
Right. Right. Have you come up with some other thing to do when those thoughts come by or
I
journaling or
try and
something?
like either do more research or I started in October, I started doing jujitsu, which is like really
Oh,
cool.
wow.
It's like, I mean, I'm about to be 59, so I'm all about learning new things to keep my
That's
brain active.
fantastic. Yeah.
But so I really enjoy that, and it keeps my brain active, and I can. It's Gracie jujitsu, so it's not like sports jujitsu where you're
Okay.
going in and like getting your butt kicked.
Well, I would hope not. I would probably kill and hurt myself
Yeah,
badly trying to
exactly, and
do.
I don't need any more injuries.
Yeah. Yeah. So have you been pretty prone to injury? You mentioned you hurt your shoulder. Have you been pretty prone to injury over the years?
It I mean, I feel like I'm pretty careful, but and I have a great coach. So he's usually if I injure myself, it's on my own. Like if I'm trying
Yeah.
to do something like if I go on vacation and I'm trying to exercise on vacation, that's
Oh,
when I usually hurt
and
myself.
you
I'm like,
yeah.
oh, I can do this. That's great. And I'll be like, ah,
Yeah, yeah. Like, no, you can't do that yet.
no, no,
So,
no.
yeah, interesting, interesting. Good. So,
And I
I
hate
feel
running. I hate cardio. Let me just put that in there.
well, I mean, the good news is that, the research shows that cardio, you don't need cardio really. I mean, not for weight loss. I mean, yes,
No.
we do need some activity, but I mean, everything I've read is that just walking is just as effective
Walking's great.
as
I
running.
love lifting weights.
Oh, good.
So I do that. So I'm disciplined in that area. So
That's good.
that's good. But
Good. So did you since you kinda went cold turkey back into carnivore, did you experience any of the typical, like, a keto flu or stuff like that?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Um, Diarrhea for sure,
Yeah.
which I expected because that happened last time too.
Okay.
Um, it seems to have subsided as of now, like
Okay, that's
in
good
the
because
last
I
couple
heard it
weeks.
can take some people, it could take a couple months.
Yeah, and if what I really wanna do is really cut that coffee out. I wanna see what happens when I cut the coffee out, and
Yeah.
I'm dreading the withdrawal from the caffeine.
Well,
I like
maybe taper and do, like start putting combination of, decaf and caffeinated. Yeah, yeah. There we go. Nettie says, "Taper, taper, taper."
yeah, I gotta do it.
Exactly, exactly. So, yeah, exactly. Yeah, I went cold turkey off coffee when I was having some issues a few weeks back, and I ended up with headaches like crazy. 14 days
Oh,
caffeine
wow,
free
good
for
for
me.
you.
And so let us know in the comments, has it affected or improved your health? Are you like, how are you doing by cutting out coffee? Have you seen a benefit from that? I would be really curious to know
Yeah.
because I'm still fighting the like weighing back and forth the coffee versus the no coffee thing. I think I've come to the conclusion that dairy is going to be a no for me. But I don't know for sure about coffee. Okay, so the headaches suspected were from coffee. Oh, so the coffee was giving you headaches.
Oh,
Okay, and then those are gone. Okay,
that's interesting.
well, there you go. Now, a question, I'm curious, did you do decaf? You're the one that said taper, so I'm assuming you kinda got it into the decaf Did you notice headaches were still there with the decaf, or did the headaches go away with doing decaf? I'd be curious. I'm not a big fan of decaffeinated coffee.
I'm like, what's the point?
Well, and I was always one that was like, "Would you like a little coffee with your cream?"
She's like,
You know,
yeah.
that was me, so it's like, "Oh, no, never drank decaf." Okay, so just kinda
Oh,
tapered
wow.
off the coffee.
She
Okay.
just tapered off. Okay.
Alright, interesting. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not a big fan, like I said, of the decaf. But yeah, the dairy is definitely a big no for me. So how is your skin? Like, was your skin still like, was it doing okay before you started on the carnivore diet, or were you still having some flare-ups with your skin?
My itchy skin? You mean
Yeah,
like, so
and the rashes.
I haven't had a celiac skin outbreak in years, probably
Good.
since the 90s.
Okay, so that's good. And how about your gut?
Um, I definitely like, I don't, not to be gross, but I don't fart anymore.
Okay. Well, I know
Uh,
with celiac, there's a lot of gas issues, so that's good
yeah,
then. Okay,
yeah,
so
on,
she just quantity, cut it in half and then cut it in half, etcetera. Okay,
okay,
got it.
I'm gonna try
So
that.
just taper down the quantity. So,
But I
alright,
do,
interesting.
I have like a very mild case of rosacea, and
Mhm.
it's, I feel like that's going down. And I kind of want to do the lion diet just to see, like, really eliminate everything just
That's
to
what I
see.
had to do. That's what I had to do was the lion diet. Um, because, yeah, my rosacea, I look like a leper. I don't
Oh,
know
wow.
if you
Yeah.
see my
I remember you showed your pictures. Yeah.
yeah, I looked terrible. And so, yeah, I did the lion diet for 6 weeks, and because even just the carnivore diet, I was doing kinda like you were with the beef, the bacon, butter, but I was also doing cheese,
Mhm.
I was doing all the dairy, and, I was seeing some benefits as far as weight loss and definitely seeing decrease in inflammation, but I think I had so much inflammation that it wasn't tackling all of it.
Yeah.
And yeah, so the lion diet I did for 6 weeks, and I learned there's a term called the sea lion diet, which
Oh,
is the lion diet plus fish.
okay.
Yeah, so that's what I'm currently doing is the sea lion diet. So I did add back fish. My biggest thing with the lion diet was, not really getting any iodine,
Mm.
and I didn't wanna I was a little Lux actually, my viewers brought up for me, "How are you getting your iodine?" And I thought, "Yeah, good point." I yeah, so a lot of people will take the, Lugol's, 2% iodine drops.
I have those. I'm just not really sure about the protocol. Plus, I'm still on my thyroid medicine, so I've put a few drops in my coffee. I'm not consistent with it. I'm just not sure, like, what to do with that.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the middle of researching it myself. I've done a couple I didn't used to be able to do it at all because it would make my throat swell because it's high in histamine, and I have major histamine issues with my mast cell
Mm,
disease. But I think that over time, like my histamine bucket drained, so I can tolerate more. So I was able to do the drops without my throat swelling, but I'm suspecting it was still impacting my gut.
mm,
And because there's a ton of histamine receptors in your gut, and if it's high histamine and you're like me and you have histamine issues, yeah, it would really affect my gut. So I've actually cut out the Lugol's for a while just to check and see how I do. But I ended up taking a multivitamin
okay,
just so I can get the iodine,
okay,
you know. So it's like I don't want to end up having issues, more issues. I'm on thyroid medication too,
okay.
but I now were you actually like the tests actually showed you as being hypothyroid?
Yes,
Yes.
but
Okay.
that was in Washington State, and then soon after I got diagnosed, we moved to Rhode Island, and so I never knew if this was like Hashimoto's or like I've just kept taking my thyroid medicine, and I mean I get
Yeah.
tested at,
Well, and
they
it's a
say,
valid question because, I mean, once you have one autoimmune disease, your likelihood of having another is high.
yeah, And I didn't realize how much like celiac and thyroid go together, and
Oh my
arthritis, like
gosh.
it's like it. And also my dad's brother, my uncle, died at age 35 from type 1 diabetes,
Oh my.
which I saw on this big huge celiac website that I didn't even know existed till recently, that that can be a part of the celiac autoimmune.
Yeah, yeah, and then type 1
Really interesting.
diabetes yeah, and type 1 diabetes is autoimmune. I think it's weird that it's called diabetes because I think it throws people off. That because you think about diabetes and you think more like type 2 and it's which is not autoimmune. It's lifestyle based,
Right.
whereas type 1 is autoimmune. So it's different. I mean, I guess it's because the symptoms and the blood sugar issues are different, but one of them is your body attacking the pancreas like it's a foreign object, and the other
Right.
is just your lifestyle and your diet is horrible and you've become diabetic.
Yeah.
But interesting. So good. So you don't. So are you going to plan on doing some more blood work after you've been on the carnivore diet for a little while?
Yes, the last blood work I had done, like, my triglycerides were 75, so that was really good,
Nice.
and, I do my cholesterol had gone up
Hmm.
initially, but not horribly, and my doctor was like, "Well, we'll have to get you on statins at some point." I'm like, "I'm never going on statins." But all my other numbers, like my HDL was good, it was like
Yeah.
58 or 59. That had gone up, and,
So
my
yeah, and
blood pressure was good.
it's like what happens with so many of us is like our LDL goes up and the doctors want to throw statins at us. And it's probably the big, fluffy, healthy, good LDL, not the dense ones that are going to clog your arteries. But unless they test to see, what the subsets of LDL actually are, they're just going to assume, oh, it's the bad kind, which I never like since I've learned about the fact that there's actually subsets of LDL and there's good
Mm,
and there's bad. I don't know why they don't just automatically test for that. Maybe it's an expensive test or something, but you
I
think
don't
they would
know.
want to know.
My dad is about to turn 89 years old, and he has high cholesterol. He's had high cholesterol forever, and he's 89 years old.
Yeah. Well,
So,
so so now, I mean, there's all this information out there now that actual people that have higher cholesterol levels have lower incidence of Alzheimer's. They actually all-cause mortality for people with higher cholesterol is much lower. You have a much higher risk of dying earlier if your cholesterol is low than if your cholesterol is high.
isn't that something?
Yes, we went over this in one of the chapters of Dr. Barry's book because we're doing Dr. Barry's book, Lies by Doctor Told Me, in our Sunday book club.
Oh, cool.
And it wasn't this yesterday, but I think it was the previous. We've only done it for, I think, 3 weeks on this book, but one of the weeks he does cover cholesterol. And that's one of the things that he brought in was that the research actually shows that high cholesterol, you live longer and you have lower rates of Alzheimer's.
Very interesting. Yeah,
Yes.
my dad's he's got all his faculties. He's still drives, you
Yeah.
know.
No, I'm not on a statin.
Not he has been on a statin because his doctor made him, but he finally was like got off him, thank God.
Good. Yeah, yeah, because I mean, ever since the statin use has gone up, it's like all this other the Alzheimer's has gone up, and it's just yeah, that's why I feel like I don't know if it's a cost thing. It must be a cost thing or something, but I would think that doctors would want to know what type of LDL is high. Is it the bad kind or is it the harmless good kind?
Right.
And but yeah, so your triglycerides, your HDL is good, then great.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah,
My
that's
my
excellent.
my I think my A1C was 5.4, something like that.
Excellent. So you did get your A1C
Yeah, that was done
tested.
last year.
Okay.
So,
Okay, good. So, all right, so you had been on the carnivore diet before and so I'm assuming that was able to get you out of the pre-diabetic range
yeah,
just from
that
changing your diet.
I think after that when I found out I was pre-diabetic, I went to keto first, and then
Mhm.
eventually went to the carnivore.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's good, and I've been on keto for a couple years, and I think that if people can do well on keto, then that's great. I was just one of those people that couldn't, uh, couldn't do carbs because I always wandered back into eating stuff that I wasn't supposed to eat,
Yeah, yeah.
so I'm making all the fat bombs and all the fake desserts, the keto desserts.
Yeah, I didn't really get into that, thank God.
Yeah.
I I'm glad I didn't, but I could see how, like, I
Yeah, I think it depends on where your addiction is, you
yeah.
know? Yeah, I mean, my addiction was definitely to sugar, and so I was like, "Oh, cool, we can make these healthy desserts," and, yeah, it just was not a good thing for me at all. I didn't know about oxalates either then,
Oh, yeah, I didn't
and
either.
I
That's
mean,
an interesting
so
subject.
much in the keto uses almond flour. So, hi, Jake, good to have you here. But yeah, I was making so much with almond flour when I was keto,
Mm, yeah,
and
same.
yeah, and I mean, almonds are full of oxalates, and then you grind them down and you use the flour. I mean, who knows how many almonds go into making a cup of almond flour?
Yeah,
It's probably a ton. But, yeah, I was making those keto, like, mug cakes.
yeah,
Yeah, and I would have, like, that for a meal or, a snack between meals or whatever, and, yeah, I was basically just substituting my sugar cravings for something that was probably equally as bad.
yeah. I
Yeah.
still use a little, stevia here and there, mostly in my electrolytes. I like the
Mhm.
chocolate element.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I used to put the chocolate element in my coffee.
Yeah, sometimes I'll do that, but usually, my latest thing was to kinda keep me going on this was, like,
Mhm.
I would have it just in hot water, kind of
Oh, okay.
like a hot chocolate.
Oh, okay, I hadn't
So I
tried
would
that
do it at
before.
night, so the magnesium would help me sleep better, so
Oh, okay, that's smart. I might try that because I was putting in my coffee in the morning and then, but I haven't tried it just in hot water. So
yeah, I mean, my husband didn't like it. I put it in a giant mug, so, like, lots of water. I
mhm.
like it, but my husband was like, "Ugh."
Yeah, my husband didn't like it either. But he's not a chocolate person at all. So interesting, interesting. I swear I was gonna ask you something and now it just completely left my mind.
Let me think.
Oh yeah, that's it. So what are you actually eating, like, from day to day? What is your
Okay, so
diet?
mostly I every day I eat eggs. Every
Okay.
day I eat eggs and butter. I really am into ribeyes.
Yeah.
Like, I recently renamed my tiny little YouTube channel because I don't know what I'm doing yet.
Are you planning on doing more? I'm gonna show people your YouTube
I
channel.
would like to. I renamed it Rebecca Loves Ribeye, even though I don't go by
Okay,
Rebecca, but that's just my little name.
I'm gonna find it, and then I'll bring it in.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, I don't know
Rebecca
how to do any of, like,
loves
the fancy stuff, like
well, you don't need to. You just need to do,
yeah, I have to
and
just get brave and not care what other people are doing.
honestly, seriously, that is literally what you need to do, is you just need to don't care. Okay, so let me go find it here. Here we go. So you got 2 little videos.
Oh my
So
god.
one of them is from the other day, but 1 subscriber. So come on, you guys that are
I
watching, subscribe. And when
I
you
have
watch on the
lips.
replay, subscribe and show her some love and support.
Thank you,
And
guys.
yeah, and then yeah, so don't worry about it because I mean, honestly, there's so many of us here in the carnivore community that we just want to have a connection to other people and see that there's real people out there doing this. And you got
I'm
to
so
start
grateful to have found this.
yeah, you got to start somewhere, right? And going on sharing your story and sharing how you're doing from day to day and the progress that you're seeing. And um I honestly, if I hadn't started my channel, I wouldn't be so connected now with the carnivore community. And they're so supportive. And so I really think that my success this time around, because I did it before, I did it in 2021.
Yeah.
Deb just subbed to you.
Oh, thank
You just
you.
doubled your subscribers.
Thanks, Deb.
But it was like starting the channel, I think, was a big key to my success. Oh, Nettie's just subscribed.
Thanks, Nettie.
Good. Yeah, see, you're gonna have some people
Oh,
following
thank
you
you,
now.
Lynn.
So you're gonna, yeah, so put out those videos.
I'm
It's
getting all
definitely,
nervous.
you know what? Everybody is wonderful. They're so encouraging and supportive. And, if you're new to it and you just kind of don't know what you're doing, that's where the community jumps in and helps. I have been helped so much by the comments that people leave just giving me advice.
Oh, cool.
And it's like, this is happening, and to me, I don't know why, I don't know what I'm doing, and I just kind of share everything, and then people kind of jump in and go, oh, well, have you considered this, or maybe it's this, and it's like gives me answers that I wouldn't have had otherwise.
I have a question for everybody because I'm just I don't have this constantly, but I've noticed um within 2 weeks of getting into the carnivore diet, like I can have very itchy skin, but no rash. It's not like my celiac. It's
Could
just itchy skin.
oxalates possibly some
That's what I'm
oxalate dumping?
thinking. But I'm not like, I keep asking because I'm like, or what is this? Like, because it's not constant.
Yeah, I mean, my first thought might be oxalate dumping.
Mm,
And very often, and I know you guys are watching, you weigh in if you have some thoughts on that, but I hear other people talking about that happens to them too.
okay.
And the thing that they suspect is that it could be some oxalates. And depending on how many oxalate high rich foods you had before, it would depend on how it's gonna present as far as oxalate dumping. Some have it really bad. I have that, but I thought it had to do with my fibromyalgia.
Mm.
Hmm. Well, share a little bit more, Deb. What was have you heard that can happen with fibromyalgia? And is it like with the carnivore diet and fibromyalgia? Share a little bit more, because I hadn't heard that before, but I don't want to just say, oh no, it's not. You never
I've heard
know.
of like the keto rash, but I don't get a rash at all.
It's just the
It's just
itching.
itchy.
Yeah. And I mean, of course, with me, my big thing is histamine. So but
Then I started like, well, maybe it's like I don't know if I have histamine issues. She's had it
oh,
for a
she had it
year.
for a year with the fibromyalgia.
Ah,
So, oh, interesting. So I didn't know fibromyalgia could cause that. I also have HS, which is a skin condition. Yes, I can never pronounce that, but I'm familiar with it. Hydrodentis superfida or something like that. It's a pretty yucky skin condition.
mm.
I've suspected at times that I might have it, a mild case of it. Um, so I have to keep moisturizer on at all times. So does the moisturizer help the itching? Because my thought is probably I'd be less inclined to think it was a histamine issue because you're eliminating things, and usually the
Yeah.
more you eliminate, if there is histamines, the less histamine type symptoms you have. Okay, so she said coconut oil
Mm, that's-
helps with the itching. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
it's not like I have like I don't have dry. It's not dry skin. Like I've
yeah.
had that kind of winter itch kind of thing before.
I've heard that people will try to drink some tea that actually has some oxalates in it
Okay.
and see if it helps, and if it does, then it's probably an oxalate issue.
No, she only puts coconut oil
Okay.
in.
Oh, that's good. That's healthy.
I just recently bought some beef tallow, pure beef
Oh,
tallow, like skin stuff.
how is it? Have you started
I
using it?
love it.
What brand is that?
Let me see if I could read it. Um, what is this? I'll Clara and Fritz.
Clara. Okay, so Clara.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys can. Let me like
Fritz. So
I
beef
could
tallow.
like figure out a
Did you buy it on Amazon?
you can buy it on Amazon, I believe. I went right to the direct source. They have different brands on Amazon. They didn't
Okay.
have this particular one, but
I'll see
it's
if I
very
can
nice.
I'll see if I can find it and their website and put a link in the description.
I've been putting it on my face. So
Okay. I've heard of a lot of people using beef tallow for a moisturizer and that it's really nice.
yeah, I wouldn't use it just like homemade because we
You
made
have
beef
to
tallow and I'm
filter
like,
it.
you'll smell like steak.
Right, right. It's like you have to filter it quite a few times, right?
Yeah, I was like, oh, maybe I'll put this on my face, and I was like, no, I'll smell like
No.
steak, which is
Yeah.
okay, I guess.
My dog would be very
I know. I was
happy.
just thinking my dogs would be following me around
Yes,
everywhere.
my dog would be licking my face like crazy. But, I tend to I've got the Melaleuca lotion, the Renew Daily Lotion.
Mm.
It's a Renew brand, and it's through Melaleuca, and, I that tends to be really good for my skin, but I still, my rosacea, I still have a little bit. It's kind of a hit and miss thing. I even filtered 4 times, it still smells like steak. So, you sounds like you've tried this.
That's hilarious.
So, it makes me wonder how many times do they have to filter it in order to
Well,
make
and it's
that
whipped,
product?
and they put like this. Mine has sage and frankincense as its,
Oh,
and so
so
it's very
maybe
light. It's not like doesn't make you have
okay.
any kind of allergic reaction or anything at all. So I
Oh,
really
that's
like it,
good. That's
and you only
good.
need a tiny bit.
Okay, so it comes in a small bottle, but it lasts for a long
Yeah.
time. Nice, nice. I know I worry sometimes about loose skin and stuff with losing a lot of weight, but we'll see what happens,
I've noticed with the
skin
carnivore diet that just like, especially with my face, like it just tightens up.
I'm waiting for my chin to tighten up.
Yeah, I can always tell like my jawline.
Yeah, yeah. I'm kinda waiting and watching to see, but I did hear that over time and intermittent fasting as well can help with, tightening up the skin, but I heard it can take a while,
Yeah, the
you
what
know,
are the autography? Is that what it's called?
autophagy.
Autophagy, yes.
Yeah, yeah. So, yeah, I know I'm gonna be patient and we'll see what happens. But I mean, I also, like I said, my top weight was almost 350 pounds, and there's a lot of people who are much more than that. And so I think it just depends on our own individual bodies and how much weight we start out at, how much we've lost, and our age,
Yeah,
you
yes.
know. So, but yeah, okay, cool. I'll have to look into that beef tallow lotion. And so Deb says I'm giving up on the skin tightening. Well, you know
Don't give
what?
up hope.
But it's all individual, right? It's like I was asking my daughter the other day, I wonder if at some point I'll end up having removal surgery, and I don't know. I mean, first of all, I got to see where I land, but then I also have to see, do I really want to go through surgery? I've been married for 33 years at this point, and you know,
I will share with you that in 2019, January of 2019, I
right.
got a tummy tuck and a breast lift
Oh, okay.
because um when I had my son, he was 12 pounds, 6 ounces. So I had a C-section and I was so stressed. I know it was huge.
Oh my goodness. Did you have gestational diabetes?
No,
No. He
no,
was just big.
I was just huge. And my daughter, who was born first, was a preemie. So she was only 5'6".
Oh my
Isn't that weird?
goodness.
That's crazy.
Yes, good health over vanity. Yes, you are correct.
Yes.
So, yeah, the whole idea of going through a surgery that's not necessary does not appeal to me.
Right, and I don't blame you. I had my abdominal muscles reattached, so that was super helpful
Mm.
in many areas for
Yeah.
me. Yeah,
Okay. Okay. Well, that's good. So, yeah, yeah, that's a big baby.
yeah. He's now about to be 28 and he's 6'5", so
Oh my
very
goodness.
tall.
So
That's my
it
husband's size.
stayed it stayed with him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Unbelievable. Awesome. Well, listen, we've got a little over an hour. I want to thank you. I want to thank everybody who's joined in and who's participated and appreciate your comments. And I want to just really encourage you. You guys come in and encourage Becky on her YouTube channel, on her health journey. You know, just a little over a month now on the second time around on the carnivore diet. And hopefully this time you can find that, permanent good health, that you're looking
I'm really
for.
hoping so. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah. All right.
Thank you,
Very
Lynn.
good. Yeah. Well, I want to say good night to everybody. We're going to go ahead and end the live stream, and thanks for coming.
Bye, guys.